Hey everybody, Aaron Zamzo here from Fire Rescue Fitness. Thanks for tuning in. This is one of my hopefully most important and listen to podcast episodes. I today am excited, super excited to talk about the Resilient 50. I have been presenting the last couple of years around the country. Very fortunate to be a firefighter and fitness trainer, and obviously through firerescuefitness.com have workout programs and worked with a lot of first responders. But this program, this challenge, if you would, I believe can really help change the face of the fire service, can really help change the face of your own personal health, your wellness, your resilience, how well you deal with the stress of the job and of daily life. Man, what COVID taught us was that there's a lot of stress. People experience stress. We as first responders are only going to experience more because it seems that we are being called for everything these days. And I'm okay with that. I think the fire service is okay with that. It's just we got to be prepared for that, not only physically, but mentally. So let's get to what the brass tacks of this Resilient 50 challenge is. It is 50 days of sticking to 7 habits that will help build resilience. And let me back up. Resilience, in essence, is basically the way that we respond to both the positive and the negative stresses of our lives. It's, the actions that we take, feelings, emotions. A lot of times in the fire service, you see people kind of go down this road of negativity. Sometimes it's alcoholism, sometimes it's drug abuse, and a lot of times it's food abuse because of the stress. And what we're trying to do with this challenge, this 50 days, is give you the habits to make you more fit, make you more healthy, make you more successful from the standpoint of being a more efficient individual, a better parent, a better partner, a leader. All of the different things that will result from being healthier, not only physically, but mentally. So over the years, I've had a lot of first responders have success with their fitness programs, lost a lot of weight. They've lost body fat, gained strength. Personally through COVID, I was in a slump where I was up probably 20 pounds more than I needed to be. If you've ever heard me in person, I like to crush tequila and ice cream sometimes, at the same time. And, I was in a pretty negative place, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. It prompted me to create, I did what was called a 28-day Catalyst program. And it was a workout program. It was nutrition guidelines that got down to the basics, and followed that for 28 days, started to feel great, followed it another 28 days. I was down 15 pounds, felt great, had energy, and it dawned on me, it wasn't necessarily about the workout program itself, although having the structure helped. It was about the habits that I went back to and established. And I think, as you're listening to this, what I'm talking about. It comes down to, we know what we're supposed to be doing. How can we apply it? How can we physically do it every single day? And it comes down to just establishing that action as a habit. Hence this challenge. I don't care about how much weight you lose. I don't care about how much you bench. I don't care about, getting ready for the calendar. In my mind, as I get older and as I see what's really going on in the fire service, that's all BS from the standpoint of, you can be fit or look fit, but you're crushing 7 Red Bulls and Monsters a day. You're an asshole to your crew. You haven't had your annual medical. Your numbers are out of line, and you go home and you drink. I mean, that's not a healthy individual. Yeah, you look good, maybe in the calendar, but you're not going to be able to sustain that for a long period of time. And you're not really helping build a solid foundation of health. And so going back to what happens when we establish these healthy habits. And when I talk about healthy habits, I mean focusing on eating, moving, sleeping, and recovery. And of course, within that recovery is working on our mental health. You focus on those things, everything seems to come into play. And health isn't just about burpees and bench presses, as I was just talking about. It's about the complete package. Along with the Resilient 50, setting these habits, I also have what's called the Healthy 10, which are 10 things every first responder should be doing every single year. And that's including like annual medicals, doing your cancer screens and stuff. So this goes along with that program. So let's talk about Resilient 50. It's 50 days. You choose 7 habits, and I list 11 that you get to choose from. All right. This is very similar to some other challenges that are out there. I know you're probably thinking about 75 hard or 75 soft. And it's, yeah, right. It's very similar to that. But I think it's applicable to what we experience as first responders. And I think it's something that you should always go back to, especially if you lose your way, you lose your fitness a little bit. You go back to this 50-day. All right. And these habits. So why do I not just have 7 and say everybody's got to follow the same 7? Well, part of it is by choosing your own habits, you're the one to blame for it. Meaning this, if you don't accomplish every habit every single day for 50 days, you got to start over, number one. But if that happens, you can't go, well, it's impossible for me to get this, or it's impossible for me to do this because of my schedule. Well, that's bullshit, because you're the one who chose the habit. And here's what I'm talking about. There are 11 things. And if you're on-call paid, volunteer, some of them might be a little more difficult. If you're, in a firehouse, some of them might be difficult. Let's go through them real quick. So first things first, you choose 7 of them. And I have favorites, of course, but as you go through, you'll start to understand. The first thing that we list here is 30 minutes of exercise every single day. Now, exercise doesn't have to be high intensity. You don't have to go balls out. It can be a simple walk for recovery, walking the dog, walking with a family, a yoga session, even some meditation with some light stretching. It doesn't have to be that high intensity, but every single day you should be doing something that works on your body, on the physical aspect of your health. The second habit, 8,500 steps every single day. This is one that, look, it goes kind of hand in hand with the 30 minutes. If you're working out, you should be able to get to 8,500 steps. Yes and no. I've had a lot of chiefs and a lot of people that go to the administrative side going, man, Zam, I'm stuck behind my desk. And of course, my response as a smart ass says, you're stuck, huh? They literally strap you to the desk. You can't get up throughout the day. And I know what happens. Look, we get sidetracked with phone calls and meetings and everything else. So the 8,500 steps is to get people to think more about movement throughout the day. Don't sit behind a desk. A lot of the data that's coming out is saying sitting is like the new smoking. So with this habit, you have to consciously make an effort to go move more through the day, especially if you're in a desk job. Whether you're a volunteer, if you're, an accountant during the day and then you go and volunteer at night, this is something that will help. I recommend every, 50 minutes or so, you get up, take a little walk around the office or walk around a track or whatever it can be, just to get more movement throughout the day. The next one, 80 ounces of water. It's not actually a lot. You could even go for more. Typically I like to say half your body weight in ounces of water. But I want this something that's sustainable. Why is hydrating so important? Well, water is, in essence, involved with every single metabolic process in our body. It helps with cognitive function. It helps with performance. And that helps reduce stress down the line. Drinking and just water does that. And the other thing is, with this, there's kind of a hidden meaning behind it is, don't drink your calories. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid, literally. That, I see in firehouses, there's these big Kool-Aid dishes and they're, sweet teas and, sodas. You're drinking calories and you're adding that sugar, which spikes your cortisol levels, your insulin response. I mean, it's just so many bad things. So stick to water, 80 ounces a day. No cheat days, no alcohol, 50 days. And what I mean by this is, if you're going to follow, and as I get into the next one, you're going to follow a diet, and you're going to do macros. Well, I don't want you to do like, I saved up all my macros so I can have pie or cake or whatever it is. The idea is to make a little bit of a sacrifice through this 50 days. And it's really to get you back to basics with your health and with your fitness and your nutrition. So no cheat days, no alcohol. If you can't do that for 50 days, you really got to evaluate, your life. If you're like, well, Zam, I can't hang out with these people without alcohol. Well, then don't hang out with them. Or find something else to do. No alcohol, no cheat days. I wrote down in the sign up page, like, does when you're going to counseling for like alcoholism or drug abuse, does a counselor say just every once in a while, yeah, go ahead and have a free day? No. So don't allow yourself a cheat meal or a cheat day or alcohol through this 50 days. And this is part of this resilience thing. This challenge is to challenge you. Like, you have to get some stake in the game. You got to make some sacrifices because you're going to feel better on the other side of it. So no cheat meals, no alcohol is one. Follow a diet or a healthy eating plan. Now with FRF, I have a healthy eating plan where it's low sugar. You want to try to minimize your added sugar, especially lean protein with every meal. Obviously, staying hydrated, which is one of our other habits, and then understanding serving sizes. Now, you could choose any diet you want. If you're like, I like to follow keto, I want to go Mediterranean, I'm okay with that. Whatever you want to do. I don't want to put too many parameters to it, but follow that for 50 days. And I would recommend, as one of your habits that you select, then doing the no cheat days. Okay. Follow a diet. The next one, 10 minutes of reading nonfiction. This goes back to the podcast that I do called Better Every Shift. It's been a theme of every single leader in the fire service, every single leader I've been able to interview in business, every single day trying to learn something. And by doing 10 minutes of nonfiction reading, you're really helping with cognitive function. And I hope that turns into 30 minutes. But remember, this is at least 10 minutes every single day, 50 days. I personally, last year, started reading about 10 minutes a day, and I finally finished like my first couple of books, like completely finished books. I know. I'm a truck guy, remember. And it's a very, very gratifying feeling, and it's really fired me up to do more. So 10 minutes of reading. I would even suggest, you're like, Zam, I don't know what to read. I'll have some suggestions in the resources section of the Resilient 50 Challenge. Self-improvement. That's what this is all about. All right. 1 minute of deep breathing. That's another habit. Sounds easy. Well, then just do it. Integrate that in as one of your habits. Why? It can help change from sympathetic to parasympathetic systems. It can help alleviate stress and work with cortisol levels and lowering those cortisol levels instantaneously. There is a lot of research out there that just taking deep breaths in. I come in, breathe in for 5, hold for 4, out for 6. And if you exhale more than you inhale, you wind up lowering that heart rate, bringing your blood pressure down, and just alleviating some of that stress that you have right at that moment. But if you get in the habit of it, and the idea is that if you start to do this in highly stressful situations, like, for me, now I'm in the front seat of the truck. I get in the truck. You got a couple of seconds, take some deep breaths, calm yourself down, especially before you're doing any radio traffic, before you're looking and doing, size ups or making decisions. And making this deep breathing part of your daily life, doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 times a day, really, really helps on so many levels. So that's why it's a habit. To cross it off for the day, you just got to do it once for 1 minute. I recommend more. In addition to that, another habit is 1 minute of gratitude. Writing it down, though. You got to keep a gratitude journal. You only have to do one thing. Changing your mindset is huge for this. Being grateful, research shows, actually changes your mental response. So by getting into the habit of just being grateful, and look, in the firehouse, in probably every single work office space or office area, you can sit by the water cooler or coffee machine, whatever it is. And, when you start being negative, it's just like this toilet bowl. Everybody starts to pile on. Oh, and then they don't do this. And then they raise the price of coffee. And, and at the firehouses, chiefs don't do this, or so-and-so didn't do that. And, we got to do this today, and blah, 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 blah. And granted, some of that stuff probably is warranted, but after a while, it actually physiologically, it can affect our mindset. It can affect our stress level. So being grateful turns that right around. I call it the Jedi mind trick. Try it with your kids one time. If they're just in a bad mood, just ask them about something that they like. And you'd be surprised at how well that changes their mindset and their attitude. So 1 minute of gratitude. Another habit. Now, remember, you choose 7 of these. Stick to them for 50 days. Power down 30 minutes before bed. Sleeping is one of the things as first responders we really need to start focusing on. Sleep is the foundation of health. All the research and data is pointing to that. We missed that boat in the fire service. The good news is this. You don't necessarily have to go for quantity. You can go for quality. And by powering down, what I mean by shutting off phones, shutting off TV, powering down iPads, whatever it might be, it's a great time to go do your reading. It helps you relax, helps you sleep better. And a lot of this goes back to circadian rhythms and exposure to light. And the blue light that we face through electronics helps. It doesn't help. It actually hurts our melatonin production and can help really defeat the purpose of sleep and really hinder our quality. So by powering down 30 minutes before, you start to get into a habit of bringing your heart rate, your blood pressure, and everything down, which will help you sleep a little more efficiently through the night. So powering down. 2 more here. Time-restricted feeding. Now, if you're like, hey, Zam, I don't want to follow a diet. I don't know really what I want to eat yet. I don't want to know. Time-restricted feeding is another thing that not only helps with restricting your calories, and that's not really the essence of what it's doing, but it just seems that that's one of the side effects of it. And it also helps kind of get our eating patterns on and match up with circadian rhythms. Here's what time-restricted feeding is. You might have heard it as intermittent fasting. You basically will fast for 16 hours, and then you'll eat for 8 hours. Now, if you're not following a diet plan, you can eat whatever you think you should be eating during that 8-hour period. My recommendation would be to do the diet plan, and then if you're kind of more advanced, throw the time-restricted feeding in there as another habit. Again, it can be difficult in the firehouse, so that's one of the reasons why I gave certain things to choose, because some of these things like powering down 30 minutes before a shift might not be feasible because you get a call, all of a sudden you're looking at a screen, or you're having to look at maps or whatever it might be. Same thing with time restricted feeding. If you're in the firehouse, you may not feel comfortable fasting throughout the night. So it's one of the reasons, like I said, that we gave more than just straight 7 things that you need to follow. You can cater it a little bit more to what your lifestyle is. Now, of course, there's still sacrifices that you have to make. Going back to time restricted feeding, what I would recommend to do is you feed during the day and then you fast at night. Now, you don't have to do 16-8. You can do 12-12. So let's say you eat from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. After 7 at night, you're done. You're not going to feed and eat until 7 o'clock the next morning. It does a couple of things. One, it helps you mentally kind of disassociate food from craving. So you're like, hey, I really, really am hungry at 9 o'clock at night. Well, no, I'm not going to eat anything. Believe it or not, about 15 minutes goes by. Maybe you had some water and you're like, I really wasn't hungry. It was just part of my habit. A lot of times I talk to medics who are up a lot more than firefighters throughout the night. And when they walk through the kitchen, if there's stuff there, they just grab it out of habit. So my suggestion there is don't walk through the kitchen. Makes sense, right? But time restricted feeding, I think, can help for setting up that habit, understanding, your cravings. And then, as firefighters, we're stubborn and we need that challenge. So I think this is one of those things. If you just say at 7 o'clock, I'm not going to eat, boom, then you don't. All right. So last one is your own choice. Whatever you wanted to try to do, or whatever you've been meaning to do to build, personal development, to work on personal development. It might be you want to do 10 minutes of Spanish lessons a night. Might be, reading to your children, whether it's via video if you're at the firehouse or at home, walking your dog every single day. My girlfriend's using, put her skin cream on, whatever it might be that you feel will help benefit you. You can do that as one of your choices. So those are the 11. You choose 7. You stick to them for 50 days. You send in your initial assessment, what your habits were, and what your final kind of results were. And I have all that listed for you in when you sign up for this. And then I'll send you a coin. And here's the best part. This is all free. You even get a workout program with this. You're going to get access to, the eating guide, the FRF eating guide. All of it's free. Don't care. Don't want your money. Not for this. But what I'm hoping is that it does make a lasting change for you. You pass it on, and we make a huge, huge improvement in our health and fitness and resilience in the fire service. And to me, that's more important than money. And I know that'll lead to other things. This is free. So what happens is you sign up for free, and I'll leave the link down below. You'll get an email that says you are in. You're taken to a page where it says, here are the steps. You commit, hopefully share that you're doing this, get some other people involved, choose your 7 habits, choose your starting day, go through all 50 days, send in the completed assessment, and I send you the coin. You don't have to use FRF workout program. You don't have to follow our eating guidelines. I'm going to recommend it, of course, because I think it's very, very thorough. It's very, very functional, and you're going to see a lot of great results from it. But if you want to follow a different workout program, go ahead. Again, the essence behind this is to build these habits. And from there, you hopefully just keep going with it. There is a phase 2. There is actually an anti-fragile 150, as I like to call it, which is a much more in-depth and more difficult challenge as part of this. But this is phase 1. And it's all about being more resilient. And all this is kind of like the FRF Resilient Project. And this 50 days is kicking all that off. Sign up. Make sure that you check that you do get emails from me, because I am going to send just updates on, some tips, number one, but also hopefully as we get more organizations involved, there's going to be additional resources available to you and to that you can also transfer onto your department. So that's it. That's Resilient 50. 50 days. Make some good habits. Set some good habits. I believe you can do this. I'm going to do some more podcasts and some more videos on, how to choose and what makes more sense. But I wanted to get this out here as far as the essence of the program and the essence of this challenge. 7 habits, 50 days. Complete them, you get a coin. You also get entered into a little prize raffle. You could, anytime you want to get started, you can. This is going on through the entire, I'm just going to keep this going. You can enter as many times as you want. Once we get some prizes, hopefully we get some sponsors, we'll draw. And the idea is hopefully social media, we keep spreading this little challenge. You throw some skins and some steaks at your crew, your family, and say, hey, everybody in for $50. Whoever completes it gets a percentage of that. Another percentage goes to charity. Whatever you want to do, make this your own. That's why you get to choose those 7 habits out of the 11. And it's all about helping you build resilience, helping you improve performance, not only on the fire ground, off the fire ground, as a parent, as first responder. And this is open to anybody. If you want your family members in this, this is great. It's catered to first responders from a standpoint of we are the ones who essentially really need this. But in honesty, everybody needs this. The stress levels of society are higher than ever. They're going to continually grow. And we need to start working to build more resilient communities. Who better to start with than first responders? So please reach out. If you have questions, you go to Fire Rescue Fitness, contact. That goes right to me. If you think I'm on something or onto something, comment, send me a message, share this. Most importantly, join the damn Resilient 50. Get your crew, get your community, get your family to do it, and make some progress this year.